Hello and welcome to another Flask video tutorial. In this video I'm going to cover the concept of template inheritance. I'm going to start with a motivating example. Let's have a look at our web application so far. I've defined three routes. We have root routes, slash home, slash variable name, and slash names. Each of them return a different template name. So here we have index.html, home.html, and names.html. Let's have a look at the content of each of the pages. We have a home page which just displays hello world. This is my home page and thank you for visiting. I also have slash names which just displays hello world. You are on some variable. Thank you for visiting. And finally, we have slash home slash Hussein which just displays again hello world plus some content. This is a very large number. And finally, as before, thank you for visiting. Now let's say, for example, I want to change this gesture with instead of saying thank you for visiting, I want to change it to thank you for visiting my web page. Okay, so I want to change content on my web page. Let's have a look at my code. Let's go to index.html. Okay, that's where we put it. Footer, thank you for visiting. Let's change it to thank you for visiting my web page. Okay, now let's refresh. That was index, so let's go back to the home page. And there we go. Thank you for visiting my web page. But if I go to my other web pages, it still has the old one. Okay, that's alright. I can go change names.html to that. Let me just copy and paste all of this and then put it into here. Cool. Let's refresh, and there we go. Thank you for visiting my web page. Okay, what about my last one? Slash home slash Hussein. Oh no, it's still the same. So these two have changed, but not this one. Okay, I can again do the same thing, copy and paste, and put it into home. Now what about if I had 10 of these web pages, or let's say I had 20, not even 20, maybe 100 of these. And for each of them I want to change the footer, in a one specific way. This is going to get very tedious very quickly. And it's because we are breaking the principle of dry. Don't repeat yourself. Let's have a look closely at our templates. Here's index, his names, and there's home. There's a lot of repeated content here, namely that we're repeating our doc type, our HTML tags, our header. So we might have CSS links, which are all in our between our head tags, and then we have maybe our header, and we have our footer that remains the same throughout all of our web pages. So this is going to be very tedious when we want to change things. And of course, as I mentioned, we are breaking the principle of try. So how do we get around this? Well, we get around it using the title of the video, template inheritance. Template inheritance works as so. We defined our layout, our static layout, which stays the same. It's what we expect on every page to stay the same. And in our layout, we define a block. Now this block will change depending on which home page is being displayed. And in each home page that wants to display information, we'll just inherit this layout and then fill in the block itself. So layout.html defines a blueprint, some sort of blueprint. Home.html takes that blueprint, displays it, and also fills it in with the stuff it wants to display. It's the same with names.html. So they both have the same layouts, but their blocks, the content of these blocks will be different. Now let's have a look at how that works in respect to our code. Now with our templates, we have to define a layout file, which will consist of everything that stays the same. Let's go to our home.html, and we notice that our doc type, HTML head, all of this stuff all stays the same except the content of our body. So let's copy and paste this and put it in our layout.html. Now what part of our body is changing? Well, from our web pages, the only thing that's changing is in between hello world and thank you for visiting. So let's remove all of this and define a block. To define a block, all we do is braces, %block, and the name of our block. So let's call this content. We can call this also body. It doesn't need to be specifically content. It's really up to you. Once we define a block, we have to write and block. Okay, so our block is defined. What do we do in our other files now? Let's go to index. Well, instead of writing all of this out, we want to, as I said from before, inherit from our layout. We want to inherit from layout. So this arrow going upwards, we want to grab the stuff from layout.html. So let's do that. The keyword for that is extends. So extends from the file name, layout.html. Okay, now how do I define the stuff I want to define? Well, then I have to write within a block. So here's my block, content. That's what the name of the block over here was. And then in between this, these two within the block, I put in whatever I want. So index.html will just probably have, well, maybe thank you, welcome to my web page. Okay, let's have a look at that. And there we go. Welcome to my web page. Thank you for visiting. And if we look at the page source, we can see all the HTML is there in its glory. Even though in our code we might not have specified everything, but the keyword here is extends. Now, if I didn't write this block, then I just get hello world and thank you for visiting, because that's what the layout was. So you don't get any syntax errors for not defining a block. Okay, let's do another block over here. Again, I don't need all of this. All I really need is this stuff. So let's delete all of this and delete this. Again, we write our extends from layout.html. And finally, we define our block, or we write in our block what we want. And we end the block. End block. Now let's go back to /home/Hussein, and there we go. It still looks the same, except the structure of our code has been changed. Finally, let's do names.html. We can let's take all of this. See, refactoring will also take some time, so that's why it's always good to do it the first time right and just use template inheritance from when you start your project. So let's you are on names. I think that was the correct one. So let's go to /names. And there we go. You are on Hussein. Okay, now let's go back to our original problem of changing this gesture to thank you for visiting my home page or web page. All we need to do now is go to our layout, change it over here. Thank you for visiting my web page. And that's it. Thank you for visiting my web page. Let's go to home page. That's also been changed. And finally, let's go to /home/Hussein. That's also been changed. So template inheritance allows us to define our website in a very modular way, and that will eliminate the need for changing each specific template, and let us avoid repeating ourselves multiple times. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in future videos.